briefly showing you how to do basic applique. I don't do needle turn applique myself. If you decide to do needle turn applique, you want to turn under the edge of the fabric just a little bit. You'll iron it as you go along, and then you'll hand stitch around the edges. You have a couple ways that you can adhere the applique piece to your material. You can use basic fabric glue, which is washable. Once you wash the quilt, this will go away. You just put a little glue on the back, put your piece on your fabric, and that should hold that into place quite nicely. There's also the option, and this is the option I normally use, and I use applique pens. These I didn't mention in basic supplies, but they're a much shorter pen with a nice round top so that you can get a hold of them easily. You're just going to pop a pen in the center and hop to your machine. The thing you have to remember is always switch out that 1/4 inch foot. If you don't, you're going to end up hitting your needle on the side of the regular foot and breaking a needle. It's not fun. I've done it multiple times. I forget sometimes. So you put an open-toed foot. I like the one that has the plastic center so that I can see my applique better. I can see the edges of it. So you're going to pop that foot on, reposition your thread. I'm using gray thread so that it shows up better, but you'd want to hit something that kind of matches the applique piece. You're going to put your quilt foot down, and you're going to select your stitch. You can use one of two stitches, or I use one of two stitches. I like a blanket stitch for some, and that's where you're going to just bite the outside of the regular fabric, and the machine is then going to stitch over onto the applique. So you're going to start it like this. There's going to be a couple stitches to the outside, and then one to the inside. Kind of adjusting the foot as you go along so that each time that initial stitch, the initial 2 stitches actually, are on the outside of that applique piece. So that is the way one of the stitches would go. And it looks like this. Yep. Alright. You can also do applique with a zigzag stitch. If you don't have the additional stitches on your machine, it's not a problem. You're going to set it on a zigzag, and you're going to make the length short. I've got mine down to 0.5. That's going to just hit, of course, the edge of each side of your applique onto the regular background. The shorter the stitching, the tighter that seam. So it depends on how tight you want your stitching to be. This is almost a satin stitch just by shortening that the length on your zigzag. You can also, if you have a satin stitch on your machine, do a satin stitch, which is going to look very much like this. In one of the applique blocks that we do, you're going to use your stitching itself to make part of the applique. So instead of actually folding a piece of material to make it into like a tube, you're just going to make your own little stem with the stitching instead. So you're going to do something along this line, turning it to whatever angle you want, rather than putting in that little tiny piece of material. Okay.
Hello everyone, it's Linda from Flash Fiction Mystery Quilt. I wanted to add on a little bit to Teresa's video about applique. I have already glued down with either fabric glue, or I've got Elmer's school glue that's like that that I use, my piece that I'm going to applique on, and I've set my machine to a satin stitch, and now I'm just going to start appliquing this piece on. And I know that my needle's on the far right hand side, so I'm going to put it down right where I want it, which is right on the edge of that. And then I'm going to get started. This particular piece I'm appliquing has straight sides and then it makes turns. So when you get to the turn part of any piece, you have to stop and lift your foot and turn it. It's best if you can stop it on the inside, this side of your work. Sometimes that it doesn't work out, trust me, I know. But we're just going to continue around like that. Now, if you do not have a satin stitch on your machine, you can use a zigzag stitch and just set it to be as close as possible. Stitch length as close as possible. And I'm sewing purple on purple, so unfortunately it's probably going to be hard to see, but no, you can see it. So that's what I've just sewn, and it looks really nice.